Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be recapping my round 2 game that I played in the Southern California Open. Now going into this game I was at half out of 1, and the second round I am playing a 1928 rated player. Now he started off with playing knight f3, the ready opening, but then after this immediately switched to the slough defense. More specifically, I played the semi-slough. Now in the semi-slough there are two moves here, e3 and bishop g5. He played bishop g5, and I could go knight bd7, or I could go h6. Now, like knight bd7, like this is called the Cambridge Springs. Oh, no, not that. So I could, like, this happened. The bishop's under attack, so this happens. But I don't have too much experience in this. Plus, I find this a bit dry for me, and not a lot of great winning chances for black. So I went with h6. Bishop f6, I had some experience with that. I liked that. But more importantly, bishop h4, once he played this, I was immediately nervous, but also knew that this would be an exciting game. Now, why was I nervous? Well, for two reasons. Number one, this is a very sharp line. You have to know your theory, or you could get in trouble very quickly with both sides, actually. And number two, the last one I played was actually a local tournament, and in one of the games I got destroyed in this line by like 22 moves, 21 moves, because I actually forgot the theory. So hopefully I don't forget again. Now, funny enough, so I played dc4. Now, funny enough, after the game, he actually told me he forgot the theory in this line. Funny how you can forget things. So this is the theory where you defend the pawn. Now, as black, you're gonna be trying to get in c5, and white, you're just gonna try and develop your pieces and keep the space advantage, all for the cost of one pawn. Now, there are many moves here. 95 is what I played in the local tournament. He played this move, bishop e2. Now, I knew I could have went b4 here. I did play b4 in a few online games, but I wasn't fairly confident that I would execute this idea very well, because I thought something like this would occur, and I don't know how I might have played it. I could have went knight bd7 here, but I don't know, I didn't really like it. Plus, I thought I found something better, which is bishop to b4 instead, which I thought forced queen c2. Turns out he can actually just castle in that position, and after this he can just like go queen c2, and this is really funny. You can do this, and point is, he has open f file. Like I'm up 2 pawns, but he actually has like a lot of play here. But he didn't do that. He played queen to c2, and now I played bishop to b7. I have this bishop on this diagonal here, so potentially if I have like a c5, I could pressure that pawn. Now after castles, I castled and then rook a d1, and I played this move knight bd7. Now you might be thinking, okay, d5 is like could be super dangerous. It's actually not. It's totally, like, this position is totally fine here. Like, not in this position, but you know, earlier in some instances d5 could be not so great. Like, it's not really the best idea here. You should just like develop your pieces. And after this, he didn't really play the best move. He played e5 here, and I knew what his idea was. So the computer recommends this like move knight d2, so you can go h4 and f4. Now, I didn't see this. I thought more of like a knight e5 idea would be better with f4, like both knight d2, knight e5. And I thought this position was fine here for me. I was gonna try and go for a6, c5. But the point is, after e5, I saw his idea. He's trying to go knight to e4, and he's gonna have all this stuff and try and go h4. He told me after game he just wanted to like attack my king. He thought that was like the best way. And I also thought that was the best way for him to get counterplay, especially at this point, because this e-pawn restricts a lot of my piece's movement, and also there's like some weak squares here that could be exploited in the future. You actually see this square is going to be a big thing later in the game. Now after knight e4, I saw that I could go c5. But after c5, I thought, okay, now maybe he has a3, but even not with a3, my bishop's kind of locked out here. And actually after c5, he has this move h4, and my bishop can't really come to the rescue. And it's gonna be very hard figuring out what to do. Either have to give it up, I have to trade it, I have to trade the pawns, but also after something like knight h4, stuff like f4 will be coming, queen c1, or I have to push, but then after something like knight d2, you know, this pawn is a little bit iffy. After h5, or you know, it's a bit iffy here. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but this is why I played bishop to e7 here, so I could defend against this h4 idea, and I can still go for c5. Now the computer recommends this move here that none of us considered. It's this move, knight to d6, and the point is, after it takes this pawn, it's actually kind of annoying. It's annoying to deal with. You can't really win it immediately, so you have to kind of play around it. And I didn't see this move. And after knight d5, knight e4, bishop e7, I eventually get my move c5. And here in this position, I just thought I was -1 here. I thought I'm just a big chillin'. I should just be totally fine here. After this, knight e4, bishop e7. Like, okay, again, this pawn, it's a big... I thought I was like -1 here, but the main problem in my position is this pawn on e5. It restricts, once again, a lot of my pieces' movement, and he actually still has this move, knight to d6. Now, in this position, if bishop to c6, it actually loses due to the dynamite strike, knight takes f7. And the points after rook f7, queen g6, rook g7, queen e6 wins the bishop, and if king h8, he has queen f7, and if king f8, queen h6, and then like queen g6, and something like this, and like everything in my position is like super loose, and like I didn't know how I was gonna handle this position. Okay, apparently like this is better, but still the same idea. My king is super weak now. None of my pieces can really move all that well, and I probably was gonna lose the game. Now, if king takes f7, not queen. Now, do be careful, not queen h7 check, because the king can actually run. I'm safe here. So usually when he goes for sacrifice like this to like try and checkmate the king, you have to restrict like where the king is going. So I'm trying to go here. So the best way to stop that is bishop h5. And now, after this, you take this pawn, and then you take this pawn, and then queen c6, and I'm just dead lost here. Now, after knight d6, I could go queen to b6. There is no knight takes f7. There is no knight f7 because of, because this pawn is actually defended here. So, this is totally fine. This pawn is defended, and queen b6 defends the bishop, so I'll be fine with that. And also, I could take, and like I said before, I would just have to play around this pawn. Maybe I would have went for some sort of f5, or queen f6. Maybe I think my plan here would have been to try and double up, and somewhere later I'll go e5 or knight f4, so I can win this pawn. Now, he had a completely different idea in mind, rook d4, which I actually thought was totally fine here. But I just thought like I was like at least -1 here, because I'm just up a pawn, and I don't think he has much compensation now. His idea was to go for some sort of h4 and bring his rook. He told me after the game he wanted to do something like this. And I went here and here to prepare to trade the rooks. I wanted to go like knight b4 or knight c7 so I can just trade the rooks. And if I knew if I trade the rooks, most of his compensation would be gone. And again, this is his last chance to play knight to d6. I probably would have taken, maybe gone not that. That would have been horrible. And something like f5 here, just play around the pawn, double up the rooks. This was like his last chance. And in this position, he found fortunately, he did not play that move. This position, he found like a new idea. Queen c1, once again to go h4. Let's just make like random moves. h4, if I take this pawn, he has like queen takes h6 with like knight f6, rook g4 stuff, or knight g5. This position is super dangerous. There's no way I can get away with taking because of knight g5 or knight f6. Knight g5 here takes, and rook h4's checkmate. But after queen c1, he overlooked a move that I had, which is knight to f4. The point is it attacks the rook and attacks the bishop, and black is winning. Yeah, you heard that right. Black is winning. Now, why is black winning? Now, like I said before, the rook's under attack and the bishop's under attack. Well, you might be thinking just trade the rooks. Like what's wrong? Just trade. Yeah, like white's worse, but like just trade the rooks. Everything's fine. But after rook d8, I have this in-betweener, knight takes e2 check. And wherever the king goes, I can just take the queen. And after all this, I can just take the knight, and I'm just up a full queen. I'm just up a queen, I should win the game. Now, instead of rook d8, what else can he do? Now, if he moves the bishop anywhere, he has rook d2, rook d4. And if he moves back here to try and defend the bishop, his knight's hanging. His position, like, it's tough for him to defend himself, like, in this position. Like, a lot of stuff's under attack. So the best thing to do here is probably to take the knight, sack the exchange. Now, actually, if rook d4, queen d4, and something like this could happen, but I could do something like this. I could try and trade off the bishops. I should be able to win this game, hopefully, without any blunders. So the best thing for him to do is actually, after this, to pin. So I can't take the knight. And after this, my queen's under attack, so I have to move. I am up in the exchange, but, you know, there's some potential for blunders. But if without blunders, I should be able to win the game. Now, he actually made this easier for me. After knight f4, he just resigned the game because he was going to lose material no matter what. And yeah, so that game, it was kind of short. So I guess instead of getting destroyed, I didn't really destroy my opponent. He actually played well here. He found like some nice, like this rook d4, queen c1. It was actually a good idea, if not for knight f4. So yeah, that was kind of unlucky. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, you can hit that like and subscribe button. Maybe tell your friends to subscribe. And thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.